Hi, I'm Beth Byrne from Soap and Garden, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to rebatch soap. Rebatching soap is the method of cutting soap up or grating it or somehow making it into smaller pieces so that you can melt it and reform it into your mold. There are several reasons that a soap maker might want to rebatch. Primarily it's used to fix a batch that has gone wrong. But you might also want to use it as a method for melting down your soap so that you can add delicate herbs or essential oils at the end instead of at the beginning where it takes more or might destroy their properties. To rebatch soap, you need your soap that you made in the first place. You will need a heat source and a pot to put your soap in. You will need liquid to add to your soap. And you will need a grater or a sharp knife or something to cut your soap into smaller pieces. You will need a mold to put it in. You may need fragrance. You may need color if you choose. You'll need a spoon to stir it around and a spatula to get it in the mold. And that's about it. The first thing you'll need to do is to put on an apron and gloves. And a hairnet. That's just to keep your hair from falling into your soap, contaminating it. All right, we have a little bit of soap here. And you grate it just as you would a block of cheese. You could also use a salad shooter. You can cut it with a sharp knife. Whatever you have available to you. A food processor works also. Whatever makes it easy for you. Looks just like mozzarella cheese. Just put it into a container. Then you put it in your pot. Stainless steel works well. You could use another pot if you want because the soap is already processed, so it's not lye heavy, unless you're using a lye heavy soap. The amount of liquid you add to your rebatch soap base will be determined by how wet the base is itself. If, for instance, I made a batch of soap yesterday, used a full water amount, just plain cold process, my soap would be very moist and I wouldn't really need to add anything to it. If, however, I used a steep water discount or I made the soap a long time ago, it's going to be drier and I will have to add more liquid. So the batch itself will determine for you how much liquid you need to add. The various types of liquid you might want to add are sodium lactate. This makes the batch more fluid, makes it easier to work with, and it makes a harder soap at the end. Glycerin helps wet the batch. It's a solvent to help the batch look wetter or feel wetter. The same is true with goat's milk. I've got goat's milk here. Milk helps a lot because both the fat and the lactic acid in it help make the soap more fluid and easier to work with. Or you could add oil. And this is what you would do if you missed an oil in your batch, then you would measure out the amount of oil that you missed and add it at this time. And if you didn't, if that's not a problem, then be careful how much oil you add or you could end up with an oily soap that goes rancid. So today my soap was measured fine. It came out fine. I did use a water discount, a steep water discount, so I will be adding more liquid than I would have if I had done a straight cold process with full water amount. I'm going to pour a little water in here just because I need it more wet. I'm pouring goat's milk in here. I'm going to just put a touch of oil in. My batch was not lye heavy. but it will help in the melting a little bit. So I'm going to pour a little in. I'm going to pour a little glycerin. Don't overdo the glycerin or your soap will sweat too much at the end. And then you pour in about 2 to 3%, maybe up to 4% sodium lactate. And you turn your heat on low. Now I'm doing stovetop today. You could also do it in a crock pot. You can do it in a microwave. You just have to be careful. Do it in short bursts and stir it often. You can also do it in the oven. Just put it in your soap pot that you made the soap in the first place. Put it in the oven on 225 degrees. Let it set for an hour and then check it and stir it. If it's ready, then you can mold it. If not, you need to heat it longer. And in the crock pot, make sure you keep it covered, except when you're stirring. That is true with the stove also. You want to keep it covered. You always want to keep it covered so that the water doesn't evaporate out. As you can see, my soap shreds don't look like mozzarella cheese anymore, and instead they're looking a little bit more like cooked cereal or mashed potatoes, and this is exactly what we want. You don't want the heat on too high or you can scorch the soap and then you won't want to use it. So just be patient, keep the heat low, keep the top on it whenever you're not stirring. Now I just made a base for this video, so I had no scent in it and no color in it. If you are rebatching a soap, you probably have already added scent and color, in which case you will not need to add scent at all anymore. You could just leave it the way it is, but you may want to change the color if you'd like, but you don't have to. I will be adding color to mine as soon as it's ready. I'll give it a few more minutes to get a little smoother. Okay, our soap is as melted as it's going to get now. You see how it is? It's not completely liquid, but it's certainly not in shreds anymore or solid. It's getting a little warm, so I'm lifting it off the heat source so it can cool down a bit. And the next thing that I will be doing is adding my scent. So just stir this in well, as you would with any soap. And we're going to play with a little bit of color. I've got some beautiful bright orange and pink mica that I'm going to use today. Just spooning it in, and then I'm going to mix it in 2 separate areas, and not throughout the soap. And to aid me in this a little bit, I'm going to add just a touch of water. I could do this in separate containers too. If I had 3 small crock pots or something like that, I could do that way too, but I'm just doing it all in one pot today. Mixing the colors together a little bit. And it's ready to pour into the mold. So just simply pour the soap into the mold. Let the design go where it wants to go. As you can see, it's solidifying. It solidifies quite quickly. So you don't have a lot of time to play around. You need to get it right into the mold. And depending on how thick your soap is, it might go pretty easily. Like this is going in. It might be a little more difficult, and you'll find yourself having to smush it down more. You can bang it on the table, and that helps to eliminate air pockets. And if you want to make the top prettier, you could do that. I have a cup here, and I'm just going to put some shreds in it. This time I'm going to add purple mica. Stir it up a bit. Add just a tiny bit of water. And stir. Don't be afraid to think of your other ideas, your own ideas on how to add color. You could add the shreds inside the soap, and that looks really pretty also. You can put glitter on top. Glitter always makes everything look better. If you put the shreds on top like I'm doing, you'll just want to push them down so that they don't fall off. They get incorporated into the soap base. And then you'll be all set. And we are finished. Well, this is still fairly liquid, so just leave it sitting. You could put a light cover on top if you're worried about anybody touching it, but otherwise it doesn't matter. It's not lye heavy, it's fine. So you just leave it set until it's completely cool, and at that time you can cut it and it's safe to use. I hope you enjoyed this video. There are many variables when it comes to rebatching soap. It depends mostly on how moist your batch is, but it also depends on whether you have forgotten an ingredient or not. If you forgot something, rebatching gives you a chance to add what you forgot. If your batch is very moist, you will add less liquid than if it is dry. So it is kind of an art. It takes a little while to understand how it looks and how it should feel. But if you play with it a little bit, you have a couple batches that you need to rebatch, you'll soon figure out what it takes to do a successful rebatch. All in all, rebatch allows us to save any soap that is not a good batch, and it allows us to use up our leftovers. You need to know that when you rebatch, you do lose a little soap. So what filled a 2-pound mold in the beginning will not fill quite that much in the end. You'll probably lose about 10% of your soap. But all in all, rebatch is a great way to save a batch that didn't turn out right, or to use up your scraps. While your soap will be safe to use right away, it will benefit from a 2-week cure in order to let all of the water evaporate out and make a harder bar, and it will last longer.